was, everything socially speaking, that I became was because, I had to really work for it, and, I knocked on doors and I sold books, and I was like, well, I got to make a little money, so I got to go sell books. And then my first book when I was in high school that I published was a fiction book called Tryst. It was a science fiction book that was like the Hunger Games mixed with Quidditch. And I hustled that thing. I went to all of my classmates and I was like, do you want to buy this book? And I had to make a pitch to them. They had to receive it or not. And that was where I learned, I know that hard work can help to right the disadvantages for what you are. Many of you guys right here are children. Many of you guys are high schoolers or middle schoolers right now who are listening to me. And I want to impart to you this message. It is fundamentally about you. Are you willing to make the sacrifices? Are you willing to do something, to get up out of bed every day and to write a book and then to sell that book? Or are you willing to go out and maybe run for president and actually convince people to vote for you? Or are you willing to actually do a math competition and actually study for that math competition? It is fundamentally about you. That's what it is. So that's how I learned to resist the brainwashing of my generation, because victimhood is such a pill to be swallowed. Everybody wants to swallow that pill, but I said no. So you need to understand what the purpose of your institution is, okay? Are you fundamentally a social welfare program? Is UC Berkeley a social welfare program? Is Harvard Davidson College a social welfare program? Or is it a center of excellence? Okay? You need to get your priorities straight as a university, okay? If you are a social welfare program, then yes, your job is to train the most marginalized of society to get and assimilate into the bulk of society. That is perfect. That is what you should do. But I don't think people pay and donate to Harvard University $40 billion endowment fundamentally for them to be a social welfare university. They fundamentally, as we understand it, as everybody understands it, is a center of excellence, okay? And excellence, as we know, is unequal. Not everybody can be excellent. I'm sorry. Participation trophies don't cut it for everybody. If Harvard was so equal and was so bent on social welfare, why would they have a 5% admissions rate? Why can't they have a 100% admissions rate? Once you define your purpose, you have to hold fast to that purpose, okay? Anything that corrupts that purpose, I'll finish this point. Anything that corrupts that purpose is wrong. The arrogance of Harvard is that they think they are responsible for doing everything. They think that they're responsible for being both a center of excellence and a social welfare program. And that's not, and that's in a university, that is incompatible, because what you get is you get a deep division in the level of competitiveness between students, which harms the student body. There's new research that shows, and research comes out every day, showing that when teachers are given heterogeneous student bodies, that is, there are some students who are more excellent with other students who are less excellent, they teach to the middle. You know what that means? That means that the students that are most excellent are not getting the education that they should be getting, that would actually help them progress. What this means is that the students who are most excellent are actually they get discouraged, they get higher levels of depression, they face social challenges. It harms an entire student body when you don't get to do this. Is because I'm a Christian, actually. Because as a Christian, I know that we're born all equal, right? I know that we're born all equal. I know that God shows no favor to the person who, does 15 things for him compared to the person who does 3 things for him, and I know that, Jesus even said, the person who gets into heaven is not necessarily based on your works, right? But it's based on your faith. But it's that understanding that allows me to understand that your worth is not determined by your works in this world. So because I think the scary part of meritocracy for a lot of people is tying their worth to their works. And because my worth is not in my works, I can advocate for an ideology that I just think is best for society, that I think is best for human flourishing in this world. Because I know in the end, in the next world, everybody's going to call to answer to God, and God has his own way and his own system of doing things. But in this world, if we want to contribute to a better world, a more prosperous world, we should be treating people on the basis of merit. We should be rewarding hard work. We should be rewarding skills. We should be rewarding the people that help to better society, that help to, if you're a surgeon, we should be rewarding the best surgeons. We should be rewarding the best teachers. Because you know why? Because those people can be an example to other people who come underneath them and who study under them and who get mentored by them, who get taught by them. And that is a better world. That's a more prosperous world. That's how we got here today, and that's what we're threatening right now. So for me, my Christian faith is the basis for meritocracy, not the antithesis. Identity politics is very powerful, especially for minorities. Very powerful. You have and it starts really from birth. It starts really from teachers and people saying Asians here, blacks here, Latinos here, whites here. And the more that's reinforced in people, the more that a person's identity belongs to their race. This is why in polls, you see in polls, 12% of white people think that their race is important or very important. 50% of Asians think their race is important or very important, and 75% of Black Americans think their race is important or very important, according to new polling released. And when you believe your race is that important, people will play to that. People will play, well, Asians, you gotta vote for minority interests, you gotta vote for Asian interests, and Asian interests are democratic interests. They really get in there. But then there's this other phenomenon that we need to talk about, which is what happens when Asians go to college. What happens when Asians go to college is that first of all, they place you in these Asian organizations. They're like, oh, we're just here to, celebrate, Asian American identity and everything like that. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as Asian American identity. Asia is a country of like 3 billion people. How could you have an identity based on a continent of 3 billion people? What in common does a Korean person have with like a Malaysian person? Doesn't make any sense. So, but then they say Asian American identity, and what they really mean is we're going to band with you to fight against the white dragon, we're going to appeal to your sense of marginalization. So this is why second generation Asians get so sensitive over the question like, where are you from? They really think, because they're taught to think, that it means the person is being secretly racist against them, that they're assuming something about them, whereas really the person is just being completely innocuous and just is trying to start a conversation with you. And this sense of marginalization, this victim industrial complex, the complex that makes money and gets votes by appealing to your sense of victimhood, often wins, and this is why Asians vote so heavily liberal. That's what I would say. And then finally, how did I become Christian?